Okay, this is a brief video on the solution for Jenna's jump rope, which is a real clean problem for figuring out variance. A good one to learn from. So the first thing that we have here is we've got data that the standards are all given together here. All right, and then all of the additional information contains your actual costs. And what the question is asking for are the direct material price and quantity, direct labor rate and efficiency, and the variable overhead spending and efficiency variances, in addition to the fixed overhead budget and volume variance. Okay, so we start out with standards for direct material, direct labor, variable overhead, and then fixed overhead. And you know, they give us so much per labor hour at $6 per hour, and these unit costs, but the unit costs you're not going to need. Okay, what we care about are these quantities in here. And then we've got some additional information. First of all, they tell us how many units we have. That's really important to know. So underscore it and notice it. Okay, that's how many units we had. And then they purchased 78,000 yards of material. It was purchased and all of it was used. So the purchased and used is the same. Okay, that's an important thing. And our otherwise we've got to do our formulas in a different way. And our cost, our actual price per yard was $375 per yard. Okay. And then the company worked 32,500 direct labor hours at $11.80 per hour. Okay, so they gave us the labor rate. And then overhead costs are applied based on direct labor hours. So budgeted, fixed overhead were based on a budget level of 25,000 direct labor hours. And so 25,000 direct labor hours. So we planned on $6 per hour. Let me just see what that is. Oh, 150,000, right? Yeah, that's what it would have been. Okay, so our fixed overhead was an hour and a half, or 1.5 direct labor hours at $6 per hour, and we budgeted 25,000 hours. So 6 times 25,000 is 150,000. That would have been our budgeted fixed overhead right there. Okay. So now when you do hold off on this piece though. But when you do these, remember that if you get really nervous, like on an exam or sometime when this is important, the one thing you can always do is put this formula down, okay? And it moves from actual over here to budget, pure budget on this side, or standard cost. And in the center, we've got a flexible budget. And what the formula is, what these are here is the difference between actual and flexible. And then this one is the difference between flexible and budget. Okay? So if you write this down, then you can go from here and create the rest of your formulas. So if I take the common term out here, actual quantity, it's the actual quantity times the difference in price. Okay, for price variance. On this side, for efficiency or usage variance, my common term is the standard price. So it's the standard price times the difference between the actual quantity and the standard quantity for actual units produced. Make yourself say that so it stays in your head, okay? So for raw materials, our actual quantity was 78,000 yards. 78,000 yards. They purchased it for $375 a yard. That's my actual price. My standard price was $350 per yard. Okay? So that's 78,000 times 0.25 gives us 19,500, and that would be an unfavorable variance because we paid more than budget. Okay? It seems like a big number, which it is, but 78,000 yards we had, so that's a lot of material. So that's for price variance. In terms for usage or efficiency, my standard price is $350, and I'm going to multiply that times the difference between my actual quantity of 78,000 and my standard quantity. My standard quantity would have been 4 yards at $350 per yard. Okay, and we've got 20,000 units. So these standards are per unit, 4 yards per unit. So 4 times 20,000 is 80,000. So 350 times 2,000 gives us 7,000 favorable. Okay. The next one is direct labor, and they tell us that the company worked 32.5 direct labor hours at $11.80 per hour. So 32.5 is my actual quantity of hours. $11.80 is my actual rate. My budgeted rate was $12 per direct labor hour. So we're under budget, okay? So that would be a favorable variance, and it's 32.5 times 20 cents or 6,500. Now for usage or efficiency, it's going to be 12. What's 12? $12 per hour, right? Is that what it is? That's our standard? Yeah, $12 per hour is the standard rate, times the actual hours are 32.5 that was given to us, the 32.5, and then I take my actual quantity produced, my 20,000 produced, times $1.50, or 1.5 hours per unit. Okay, so this would have been 30,000. So now I've got $12 times 2,500, or $30,000 unfavorable variance. Okay. For variable overhead, we have this variable overhead is allocated based on direct labor hours. Okay, so a 1.5 direct labor hours at $2 per hour. So the only difference between direct labor and variable overhead variance is the rate per hour. It's $12 per direct labor hour for direct labor, and then $2 for variable overhead. So my actual quantity of hours is 32.5 direct labor hours, times my actual rate was $2.10, minus our budgeted rate was $2. Okay, here's our budget rate for $2, and the actual rate was $2.10. Where'd it go? Yeah, so for variable overhead, our actual rate was $2.10, and that would be our actual variable overhead costs of $68,250 divided by the actual number of hours worked, 32.5, and that's where our $2.10 comes. So $68,250 divided by 32.5 is $2.10. That would be our actual variable overhead rate, and our plan was $2 per direct labor hour. So that's 10 cents times 32.5, or 32.50 unfavorable, because our actual is higher than the budget, higher than plan. Okay. Now on the efficiency side, it's going to be the standard rate, which was $2 per direct labor hour, times the difference in hours, and our actual hours are 32.5, and we should have had 20,000 units of product times an hour and a half a piece. That was the plan here. 1.5 direct labor hours each. That's our 30,000. So our variance here then is $5,000 unfavorable. Okay, and then finally it comes to fixed overhead, and here you want a complete sort of mental change. But the first variance right here is spending variance, and that's the one we're going to care the most about. And our actual spending, actual fixed overhead cost was $148,000, and we planned on $1.50 per direct labor hour. So that's $1.50. Hold on a second. That's $1.50 times how many direct labor hours? So many hours per unit. We planned on 25,000. Wait a minute. 25,000 hours times 1.5 times 1.5. Oops. 37.5. 25,000 times 1.5. 37.5. That's wrong. Oh, I forgot this line right here. The budgeted fixed overhead costs were based on a budgeted level of 25,000 direct labor hours. So if we say 25,000 times $6 per hour, that gives us $150 budget. Okay. And then what happened here, so that gives us, we've got a rate then of $6 per hour. This is the volume variance, and remember, we're not going to worry about this so much. It's kind of a more advanced topic. But our budgeted fixed overhead was $150,000, and what was applied to the jobs was $6 based on the 25,000 hours times 30,000, and it's our 30,000 from right here. Okay. So that gives us $30,000 favorable. Okay, the other two problems that are in the Pro Copybook are also good. They're good practice. So best of luck on this.